For those that are visitors, we do, in Sunday school, we've been going through 1 Samuel, chapter by chapter. And from each chapter, we have a Bible character, Bible visitor, that comes in, and we discuss the chapter, and he discusses his story. He's a little bit late this morning, so I will say a couple of things, just real quick. For those of you that know Arnie, multiple times I've pulled into this parking lot and come to this church, and Brother Arnie has been either pulling weeds, picking up trash, nobody else around, with a big smile on his face. So, that just watching this makes me feel. Number two, this has been on my heart, and I really wanted to say this. Last Wednesday, because of my work schedule, I don't get to come on Wednesdays very often, but last Wednesday, Pastor, one of the things he said was that if you have anything negative to say about anybody, don't come to him and say it. I've been coming here 3 years now, and I've never heard anybody say a negative thing behind anybody else's back. Not once. I know we're all human, probably it has gone on. Maybe everybody's talking about me, that's why I've never heard it. But I just wanted to say thank you. I've literally never heard anybody standing in the back corner talking bad about somebody else. And that's amazing. Number 3, before our Bible guy gets here, I wanted to do a shameless plug. I'm 12 chapters in. This is a book by one of our members of this church, Brother Cleon. And if you weren't here on Wednesday night, he gave me this book. And so far, it's absolutely fantastic. I don't want to say I was surprised, Brother Cleon, but I was surprised. That it's really good. It glorifies the Lord. I don't want to spoil it for you, but some of you, I won't spoil it for you. Anyway, if you want a really good book that one of our members have wrote, I looked on Amazon. It was $69 on Amazon. Did you see that? I was like, what's going on? Anyway, The Cove, Granite Cove by Cleon Harris, and he gave me this book, and I'm actually having a really fun time with this book. So anyway, that's a shameless plug for Mr. Cleon.
Thank you. I ordered some for 2 to 3 weeks, and then I
Thank you. Thank you, Brother Cleon. Okay. First, everybody turn to 1 Samuel chapter 6, please. Our Bible, there he is. You look familiar, Bible visitor. I could have swore I've seen you before.
Oh, we've never met.
Huh, okay. Okay, Mr. Bible Visitor, you are Joshua.
Yes, but not the one you're thinking of.
You're Joshua. At the end of this chapter, you're Joshua. You're the farmer in the field.
Right. I'm Joshua the farmer, not the Joshua from the book of the Bible.
Right, you guys are harvesting wheat. Okay, so last chapter, chapter 5, Philistines stole the Ark of the Covenant. Chapter 5, they brought it into their god Dagon. He fell over.
Yeah.
They picked him back up, this big fish god Dagon. Next day they brought him back in, and he was completely destroyed, arms and legs everywhere. Only his stump remained. So now, the last chapter, the Lord smote the Philistines with hemorrhoids, which is hemorrhoids. All the people in the land got hemorrhoids. And hey, I'm not making this up, it's what it says. So chapter 6, now, we're gonna start at the end real quick. So at the very end of this chapter, they bring the Ark of the Covenant into your field. But let's back up. Let's see how that happened. Chapter 6, verse 1, and the Ark of the Lord was in the country of the Philistines for 7 months. Don't know why it stayed there for 7 months after all that happened. But verse 2, and the Philistines called for the priests And they said, what shall we do with the ark of the Lord? Tell us where we shall send it unto its place. So now they got to figure out a plan to get rid of the ark of the covenant because their god Dagon just got ripped apart.
Yeah, it's given them some problems, and they realize that it's for the best, in their best interest to get that thing out of there. So they gather together the lords of the Philistines, all the men in charge and of authority, and they gather all together and they start having a little brain session of what are we going to do. They say, all right, first of all, we got to get it out of here. That's clear. They're like, but when we send it away, we can't send it empty. We're going to put in a little bit of a trespass offering. Their plan is that what they were trying to do is they were trying to appease God, that His wrath would go away from them. So they decided that this trespass offering, what it was going to be is these little golden images. And the golden images were golden images of their emerods and also of little mice, because they were also being plagued of mice all over throughout their cities. And they decide to number it. They make a gold image for each of the tribes of the Philistines, one for each city and everything. They number it up, and that's how they put them all together, and then they put it in this box, this coffer, and they include that with sending back the Ark of the Covenant.
Okay, so they make images, golden images out of their emerods and out of these mice. They're going to put it in this, basically a little box, set it next to the Ark of the Covenant, but they got to have a cart, they got to have some sort of way to get it there.
Right. Yeah, they make these gold images. See, that's kind of what they were used to in serving their gods. So in their heads, this will work as appeasing the god who's setting wrath against them. So they say, all right, so now we're gonna put this little care package together. We're gonna send it down the road. So they decide they're gonna go out and they build a brand new cart, a nice cart, brand new, never been used. They got the lumber together, they build it. And then they go out and they get 2 milk cows, and these are cows. The milk cows. They're not for plowing or anything. They're not for pulling carts. And the Bible says that they had never had the yoke put on them, but they decided they're going to use these cows to do it. And they also have some calves waiting at home in the barn. So obviously these cows here, they'd rather be with they'd rather be at home in the safety of the barn, especially with their young. So they put them together on this. So what you can see here is normally this would not work. These cattle that are not trained to be pulling this cart, they would start going in one direction off the road. Maybe they'd end up in the ditch, gnawing on some nice, pleasant-looking grass they could eat, or they'd go all the way, turn around, and go back home to be with their calves.
Yeah, it says they've never been yoked.
So it's a little test. They decide, if this works, and if they go all the way straight down the road, and they end up in Beth Shemesh, they say, then we'll know it was God who had His hand against us. We'll know that's the case. But if these cows start going along and they veer to one side and end up getting lost, or if they veer to one side and go on, into the ditch a different way, they'll know that, it was just bad luck that all this stuff happened to them. It was just by chance and bad luck. And they'll know it wasn't God's hand against them.
Okay, so they know it's God's hand against them because in verse 14 it says, and the cart. Now this is where we come to you after we told the story. And the cart came into the field of Joshua of Beth-Shemite and stood there where there was a great stone, and they clave the wood of the cart. Okay, so now the cart comes into your field.
Yeah, you can imagine me working in the field. We were harvesting the wheat. All of a sudden, I look down the road and I see this cart coming along, and I'm like, what's that? Is that the Ark of the Covenant on the back of that cart? And all of a sudden, we're rejoicing. We run over, and we decide right away that we're gonna we call the Levites, because they're the ones that have to move the cart. So they come and they not the cart, but the Ark of the Covenant, and they place it on this large rock that was over in the field there.
Yeah.
They put it on the rock. And then what we do is we break up the cart. We're breaking it up. We're tearing the wood up, and we make a big fire. They're making a big fire, and then they're going to use the cows as a sacrifice to God, because we're celebrating the return of the Ark of the Covenant that had been captured in battle away from us. And it's been a long time. It's been 7 months since anyone had seen it, that they've had it that long. So now we're rejoicing and celebrating and thanking God for its return.
But it goes bad. It says that the people in the land decided to peer into the Ark of the Covenant. That wasn't a good idea.
Right.
It said 50,000 men died after, they looked inside.
Right. So the Ark of the Covenant, it was, like I said, the Levites, they were the ones supposed to be handling it and carrying it. No one else is supposed to be touching it, let alone lifting up the lid and looking inside it.
Yeah.
And these men, they were punished by God for doing this. You can imagine 50,000 men killed for doing this thing that they're not supposed to.
Yeah, so it says all the people lamented because the Lord smitten many people with a great slaughter. So now you guys need to move the cart. You need to start getting it back to where it needs to go.
The ark, it can't sit on the rock in my field for forever.
Yeah, so we're going to go. All right, Mr. Joshua, really appreciate you. You guys go with me to chapter 7 and just verses 1 and 2. We're gonna complete this section. I know it's a couple verses in the next chapter. So after this, it says, the man of Kirjath-jearim came and fetched the ark of the Lord and brought it into the house of Abinadab in the hill and sanctified Eleazar his son to keep the ark of the Lord. And it came to pass, while the ark abode in Kirjath-jearim, that the time was long, and it was 20 years all the house of Israel lamented after the Lord. So it stayed there 20 years. Next week, we're going to be in chapter 7. I know we just did verses 1 and 2, but that just kind of completed that section. We're going to go back into Samuel and starting in verse number 3 of chapter 7. Granite Cove by Cleon Harris. Everybody get your copy.
You've been listening to a message from the pulpit of Town Center Baptist Church in Happy Valley, Oregon. We invite you to come visit us at 10505 Southeast 85th Avenue in Happy Valley. If we can be of help to you, please call us at 503-659-4494. We wish you God's very best.